Welcome to Inside Pioneer Athletics. I'm your host, Jagger Furr, and today we have Athletic Director Jesse Skiles. Jesse, thanks for being here.
I appreciate it, Jagger, and welcome back to the Pioneer Nation. Great to have you back here.
I appreciate it. So to start us off, we know that in the world of, as an athletic director, you're a busy man no matter what, but this summer was a very busy summer for you, making 3 important hires with volleyball, women's basketball, and men's basketball. First off, with women's volleyball, you hired Kiara Perkins. How was that process, and what made you make the decision to hire her?
Well, she comes from championship pedigree, highly recommended. She was part of that program up at Alfred up there with Coach Dorley and won their league championship last year. She was an assistant on that staff, and she had a great career, was a national finalist for NCAA Woman of the Year, and was a captain her senior year on a team that was runner-up up there, and then. She's really not that far away. I know Alfred's in New York, but it's right down on the Pennsylvania border, and she's from Counter Sport up there by Mansfield University, which is, not a bad trip. Her family's going to be able to get down to some of the matches, and she's been a tremendous add. It's brought a lot of positivity and energy. She had to, add some roster pieces at the very end, but very excited to have Coach Perkins on the volleyball end.
Moving to another young coach that you hired, Emily Stoller, for women's basketball. A very rich program with women's basketball. 22 national champions, 23 made the Final Four. Emily was a star player here a few years back. Part of the staff last year. What made the decision for you to hire her to lead the program?
Well, I'll tell you what, she's a pioneer. She's a pioneer, and for people. Familiar with the Lady Pioneer program are familiar with that system and how that has evolved with, with Coach Harkleroad, Coach Marshall, and Coach Stevens. And, the success we've had employing that, the pressure and the high-speed offense. And, she was a player in that and was an assistant coach in that system under Coach Stevens. And she's came in here as rebuilt the roster as Coach Stevens did last year, and she knows the components that it takes, to fill in those pieces. And she's local, from Fairmont, was a big star up there for Coach Hines and all that he's done with the Polar Bear program, and now he's on our staff as well, as is her sister Abby, who was a great player here in her own right, was on that national championship team, and so it's retained the system. We got real supportive fan base we've always had out of Fairmont, for the Stoller family, and but she embraced it and is wanting to really carry on that winning tradition that this women's program has here.
So going from inexperience to a lot of experience, you go to Bob Bolin for men's basketball, 489 wins, 4 national championship appearances, 1 national title, many conference championships, many all-conference players. What made the decision to hire Bob to lead the Glenville State men's basketball program?
Oh, I'll tell you, he's a winner. He's a winner. He said he appeared in 5 national championship games, won the national championship one year down there at Mountain State. And even though he hasn't been a head coach for a while, he has not been away from the game. He's been involved on the broadcasting, on the media side. And in a lot of ways, he's been able to stay in touch with how the NCAA's evolved, basketball at this level's evolved, and he brings a real exciting system as well. But he's won as a player, as a coach, and has stayed on it. And that experience, like I said, we got some young coaches, and with Bob, we got somebody here with Bill Lilly and Willie Furr and myself. We can talk about disco and how things were in the 70s. So.
Helps you guys out, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. We knew life before the internet. So, but he's a winner, and he's done a great job of filling that roster and getting pieces to fit that system, really predicated on, guys that can pass and shoot and run the floor and play at a high pace. And it's going to be exciting. I'm excited about what direction the men's program's going, and having Coach Bolin.
He not only retained some key players, he also brought in a former Pioneer in Brett Morris, who spent 4 years here, was an all-conference player as well. How do you think that can translate to success as well, as bringing him in as an assistant?
Oh, big time. Well, another individual that has been successful on all levels as a player, and he was coaching back in Webster County. Very, very popular, not just in the Pioneer Nation, but in Central West Virginia. What he's done, and he was part of the team here that won that conference tournament. Played in some NCAA tournaments, and he's already paid some big dividends for what he's doing. It is great individual, a lot of energy. I tell you, I'm beyond excited to have Coach Brett Morris here. We had a good chat with him this morning down here. He's a worker.
Yeah,
he is a worker, and really puts in the hours and the time, and it's paying dividends.
So before we preview the 23-24 season, we want to take a quick look back at the 22-23 season. A lot of success. Women's basketball making the Final Four, wrestling crowned their first ever national champion. Softball and volleyball made it to the MEC tournament. Golf, women's golf won an MEC championship. How do you see that success from 22-23 rolling over to 23-24?
Oh, a big time. That was some good points. And Acro made the tournament for the first time in 4 years, and the men's golf was runner-up in the league. And, besides the wrestling national champion, we had a boxing national champion. And the wrestlers were 9th in the nation as a team. So, there was a lot of success there, a lot of things to hang your hat on. And even though, they weren't conference champions or runner-up, football team was 7-4, men's basketball was 17-13. We had a conference athlete of the year in women's track with China Jefferson. So there were a lot of good things to hang your hat on throughout last year. I believe a lot of that momentum we're able to carry on with what we're doing this year. I really do. You look at with the classes that we brought in, we had a good year from a retention standpoint. As we mentioned, we really had to rebuild a couple rosters on the basketball sides, but you had that when you have a coaching turnover. But by and large, we did not get beat up in the portal in a lot of our other sports. So we're very fortunate with that. Good returnees, some solid freshmen coming in. I'm excited. I can't wait till the games start. I've got a pencil. Right off the bat, we got the football game up here at Northwood, and volleyball's playing in the tournament out of Cedarville. Cross country's running that weekend up at Muskingum, and then soccer's going to be here with with Bluefield coming in. It's all going to happen over a span of 3 or 4 days, and I'm really thinking the energy we have going into that's really going to set the tone for everything going forward this year. And then with our, you look at our cheer group, with what Coach Bridget Carr's done with that group, they were reinstated. That group came back. We didn't have cheerleaders for a while. We have close to a century of alumni in that area, and to get that group going again, and now it's growing, and we're at a point now where we're up in double-figure members, and they bring a lot of energy to our events.
Now looking at the 23-24 season, was women's soccer, football, track, volleyball coming up soon, golf. J.R. Dotson in his 3rd year. Keller now is in his 5th year.
5th year. Yeah.
Where do you see these programs going with the 23-24 season?
Well, I'll start with soccer. He added some key players off the portal and some young players out of high school. He's got some international players he's added. They're going to be a lot better. They've already shown that in their preseason scrimmages. The energy. I think just in terms of, I was talking to Coach last night, just in terms of ball possession, how, they're able to, a lot more opportunities, on the offensive end. I think with football, really deep in a few areas. Of course, they brought in Anthony Garrett as a true freshman last year, ended up getting put in mid-year, and we ended up going 5-2 with him in there as a starting quarterback. A lot of that O-line's back. Of course, Alfred Minger, and he's had 2 good years in a row at running back. And that defense is deep. The linebacking core is going to be able to put, D-line, they're going to be able to put a lot of pressure on. It's going to be exciting. But, a lot of talent there, but, you have to play together. And he's been really, they've had a good camp. Volleyball, new coach. But several players off that rotation are back off a team that made the playoffs, and they were just a little below 500. They're right there, and they're hoping to get some wins and build this thing moving forward. Cross country, some really some good young individuals there. graduated a few good runners, but they, Coach Myers, he added, of course, Natalie Barr, who was a state champion in the 800, and, she's been a nice infusion in here for that group. Several, the teams and the boxers, of course, the Warren and Waco coming up in here October 7th, which we're very excited about. Last year's was a big hit. Coach Chapman does a tremendous job with that, and that just keeps growing, and we'll keep that on the calendar for that night. And the two golfs, the women won the championship last year in the Mountain East. We only got 14th in the region. Several of those starters are back off that top five. And their second five is going to be very good, very deep, and they do a good job. Coach McGarry does of getting all those young ladies chances to play. But we have got Haley Hendershot and Kendall Wall back as all conference performers, and on the men's side, you got Juan Monkberg and Shaden Johnson, who were all, and they were runner-up. Just missed the NCAA tournament, and they've added some good freshmen in with that group, which is all back. They're going to be very, very good. So we feel like they could be a championship team, and if they're not, they could certainly be in a position to still contend, for NCAA tournament play, just like our women, because they're going to be battling Charleston again, which had a great program of Will Johnson down there. But it's with John Lilly, what he's doing with the men's golf, John and Bill, it's going to be, and that's going to be the first championship on the board up at Avalon Lakes in early October. So counting down the days. We had a great time up there with that event last year, and hopefully there'll be a few more situations this year. We'll have the fire trucks lit up here in town.
Bringing home the champions. Shifting focus to about 3 weeks ago, heard the sad news of Alderson Broaddus closing. How do you feel as a university in the athletic department? How has Glenville State taken those students in and given them a new home from what happened?
First off, just our thoughts and prayers out to everyone that was affected by the abruptness of that closing. A lot of friends over there. We have a long relationship, with that university, and that's tough. And that the town of Philippi, our thoughts go out. And so, first and foremost, it's besides the higher ed and taking care of people trying to help their students and employees is just recognition of what they're going through. So. But with that being said, we were able to right at 30 student athletes, we were able to to find them a home here, and we're trying to get them integrated into our programs here in our department. Some of them are making an immediate impact. We got some that are going to be some starters in some programs, and but we want to do something special for them here. Maybe we talked about maybe in October when our board of governors are back in town to do something nice, for them to say, you're welcome here, and we're glad to have you. But it's a tough situation, but we're really tried to open up our hearts to take care of those individuals, those young students and student athletes.
So with that, the Mountain East Conference now sits at 11 schools. Salem came in with the scheduling agreement to make up those games that are going to be lost with AB. But now going forward, as an athletic director, how do you see the conference shaking up in the future? Well,
it's our commissioner, Reed Amos, and his staff, they do a tremendous job with the scheduling front. And a big thank you to Salem for stepping in and helping out with the scheduling here for all the team sports throughout the rest of this year. But he will do the right things and go about it the right way in attempting to, find that 12th full-time member to, balance out the schedules. There's so many advantages to having a 12-team league, and they do a great job with that. And I'm sure he will do the proper vetting and the proper recruitment and find us an institution that'll be a great fit for the objectives of the Mountain East Conference.
Well, Jesse, I appreciate you coming on the show with us today.
I appreciate it, Jagger.
And thank you for watching and listening, and catch us next time on Inside Pioneer Athletics.